Hey guys, if you can see, we're going to start video 16.1, and this is called Hitler's Lightning War. So we're going to view show, and there we go. So really quickly, what do you need to know? Wanted to try this for you, see if this would help you out. Non-aggression pact is an agreement in which nations promise not to attack each other. Remember, we saw that between the Soviet Union and Germany. Blitzkrieg is lightning war, a form of warfare in which surprise attack with fast-moving airplanes are followed by massive attacks with infantry forces. Our football people, a blitz is when you attack with more guys than the other side could block. Charles de Gaulle is the French general committed to reconquering France. He organized the Free French military forces to battle the Nazi. Winston Churchill is the British Prime Minister. Remember, he followed Chamberlain. Churchill replaces Chamberlain, and remember, Chamberlain was the one, we're going to have peace in our time, and he was the one that did the Munich conference. Chamberlain gets voted out, Churchill gets voted in. Think of Churchill as the bulldog, Chamberlain as the wimp. Battle of Britain is a series of battles between German and British air forces. The Battle of Britain is AIR, air. Atlantic Charter is a declaration of principles between Winston Churchill, so that's England, and the U.S. President Roosevelt, on which the Allied peace plan at end of World War II is based. All right, so those are your vocabularies. So Stalin from the Soviet Union signs a non-aggression pact with Hitler. Remove threat to Germany of attack from the east. So basically, what they'd agreed, the Soviets and the Germans agreed, was let's just split Poland. Hitler conquers Poland, annexes the western half of Poland, and this sparks World War II. So what starts the war is Hitler's attack on Poland. At that point, the other countries in the world can't not do anything now. And this German invasion of Poland was the first test of Germany's newest strategy, the Blitzkrieg, also known as the Blitzkrieg Bop. You've heard the song. Stalin begins annexing the eastern half of Poland, also forces Finland to surrender. Notice, what are they getting back? Land that had been taken from them from the Treaty of Versailles. What happens is, basically, this leads to what's called the phony war, the Sitzkrieg, when the French and the British, both sides aren't attacking. That should be French and the British, all right? What's a Blitzkrieg? It means lightning war. Hitler used this innovation in Poland, used surprise attack, massive numbers, massive air attacks, and shocked the enemy. Germany achieved most of its victories in World War II using the Blitzkrieg. Here you can see large numbers of planes, boom, 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 dropping bombs on Poland, and then they drive through. We already talked about this. Hitler already taken the Rhineland, Austria, the Sudetenland, then Czechoslovakia. You see Hitler attack Poland, the lightning attack, the Blitzkrieg. Great Britain and France resist, but they don't really attack. But then the lightning attack on Poland, used fast planes. On September 3rd, Germany and France declare war on Germany, beginning World War II. But there's not a lot of fighting. That's why you hear the term Sitzkrieg or phony war. The Soviets make their move. They basically take Poland and Finland pretty easily. And what's ironic is Stalin attacks during the winter and loses a bunch of troops. All is calm for 7 months after Poland falls. April 1940, Hitler launches a surprise attack on Denmark and Norway. Denmark falls after 4 hours. Norway follows a few months later. So we're now fully into the war. What starts the war? Hitler's attack into Poland. Everything else was appeasement. Please don't do it. Please don't do it. Finally, Great Britain and France declare war. Notice America hasn't. America's on the sideline watching. I like this. Blitzkrieg. When you only stop for kittens. Phony war. Britain sent troops to wait with the French down behind the Maginot Line. Reporters called this quiet time of not much action the phony war. So once that kind of quiet period is settled down, Hitler's going to attack France and Luxembourg. The Germans basically march through the Maginot Line. In 1940, Germans attack the Allies' fleet at Dunkirk. Great Britain rescues their army, the Royal Navy ships as well, civilian craft in the rescue effort. We will spend more time on this miracle at Dunkirk another time. France falls to Germans, so Britain is able to hold off Hitler. The French fall. a part of France falls. So Great Britain is alone against the Nazis. Churchill vows to never surrender. He's a cigar chewing bulldog. He's not going to give in. Alright, here you can see a map. The Maginot Line is this kind of entrenched line. The ironic thing is the guns were all facing kind of this way into Germany, and once the Germans were able to sneak around it, the guns were fairly useless. You'll notice this area. Let's try this again. So all the guns were kind of facing this way on the Maginot Line. So once the Germans got behind it or around it, it was fairly useful. Useless, I'm sorry. It was not useful because the guns were facing the wrong way. Here you see some famous pictures from the fall of France. There's Hitler right in front of the Eiffel Tower. God knows anybody knows Hitler. I know he loved to sightsee. That's actually allegedly one of his favorite pictures. Here you see the French troops being marched in defeat. The battle in Britain and France continued. Hitler's Operation Sea Lion. Its goal was to knock out the Royal Air Force, then land soldiers on England's sand. But Hitler devastated Britain. Britain keeps fighting. That's the amazing thing. During the Battle of Britain, the Germans just dropping bomb. The British kept fighting. RAF had two weapons. Royal Air Force is the British. They had radar, so they were able to know when attacks were coming, sound air horns. Also, early in the war, they had gotten their hands on an Enigma machine. The Enigma machine was the German kind of code machine for sending secret messages. If the British have it, guess what they can do? They can know what's coming. So that's a huge advantage. Surprisingly, Hitler calls off the attacks. This is the first time the Battle of Britain, the Battle of Britain is the first time Hitler stopped. Rhineland, he got. Austria, he got. Sudetenland, he got. Czechoslovakia, he got. Poland, he got. Everything he ever ordered off of eBay, he got. Until the Battle of Britain. Finally, the Battle of Britain, he is stopped. Alright, then the event at Dunkirk is called a miracle because the retreating Allies had lost hope and then the British pulled through for them and they were rescued. So basically, here's what happens. The British soldiers are forced to retreat, the French are forced to retreat, all to this little area. Then using English boats and fishing boats, they were able to get the soldiers out of Dunkirk and get them to safety. And obviously, if you save almost 340,000 soldiers in a war, that's going to be huge. On the Eastern Front, British resistance to Hitler. So once Hitler gets stopped in Britain, he's going to turn to the east, turn to the Mediterranean. We already know Germany and Italy, Mussolini are going to attack North Africa. Great Britain fights back. This is a disaster for the Italians. Hitler sends a famous general named Rommel. Rommel versus the British went back and forth. In the end, Rommel wins. And where does Rommel win? Here in primarily Africa. Hitler is active in the Balkans to attack his ally. And basically what we're learning here is Hitler had this plan that eventually, once he took Poland, he was eventually going to attack Russia. His plan was called Operation Barbarossa. Hitler attacks the Soviet Union brutally. But in the end, the harsh Russian winter season forces Germany out. That was Hitler's mistake, attacking Russia in the wintertime. You see how far they got into Russia, but notice when it is. All right? The United States aided its allies. Didn't want to get involved in the war. They do lend-lease. We'll loan you or we'll lease you anything you want. We're not going to. We're going to sell it to you just to kind of make sure that we don't get sucked in the war. The United States helped the British. Roosevelt and Churchill meet at the Atlantic Charter. And in 1941, there's an incident where a German U-boat fires on a U.S. destroyer. Even though the Germans shoot at our boat, we don't get involved. All right? The U.S. does use its Navy against Hitler a little bit, but for most of the war, up until 1941, we are neutral. We're name is Bennett, we're not in it. Here's the key points. Why was Great Britain left alone against Germany? Because France was taken over by Germany. Russia had signed an alliance with them. There was nobody left there to fight them. Did the Germans succeed in invading Great Britain in the Battle of Britain? No, Great Britain never let up, led by Churchill, and obviously the fact that they had the water between them was a great protection. Where did Germany turn after they temporarily gave up? You want to know they turned to the east, to the Balkans. They're starting to work towards Russia. Why was it crucial for Germany to take over the Balkans? So they had a point from which to attack the Soviets. What forced the Germans to retreat from attacking the Soviets Union? Winter. It was cold. What happened as a result of Great Britain needing help against Great Britain? The United States kind of unofficially joins the war. They're going to help unofficially. All right, guys. That's your video for 16.1. I think probably the main thing you want to be able to do is identify these. Non-aggression, blitzkrieg, Charles de Gaulle, French. Charles de Gaulle is French. Winston Churchill is British. The only other person we probably could have mentioned on here is Hitler's general. You could see him like right there is Edwin Rommel, who's known as the Desert Fox. All right, guys, bye.